Memphis. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in, fabulous Friday. Look who's here. Elijah Seeger's off. Brian Dakis.
Hey,
in
now.
the house. Haven't talked to you in a long time. I know you'll be here Monday filling in for me. There's a big Beam signing that will be taking place right around 10 o'clock at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium as that stadium gets more and more finished. And this, I think, is the final structural beam or something like that that will be going in. And I appreciate you doing that. Grizz Summer League team falters again, 1-3 now. They were sloppy. I hate to say this. They don't look like a well-coached team. Can you judge a coach by Summer League? They don't make winning plays at the end. They make dumb plays. They don't play together. And, some of that I would think would come down to coaching. But, in his little interim stint, he was Tomas Isalo. He was pretty savvy. I liked what he certainly made certain players better, including Zach Edey and John Morant for that matter. But this Summer League stuff has been disappointing. At the end of games, they keep losing. They did it in Utah. They've done it, had a chance to win this game. They pulled away toward the end and then blew it by not sharing the ball a lot in my mind. Look, even Pops without good players, he doesn't win. Okay, and he's the best NBA coach of the last 25 years. So you got to have players to be a good coach. And maybe that's the problem with this team. But this does not look like a well-coached team to me. I don't know, though. You tell me, is it fair to judge coaching in Summer League where everything is so lax?
Yeah, it's so hard. I think probably not, but it's a difficult question because you look at this, and especially with Isalo, it's almost kind of hard to play the patient game with, you saw him as an interim, and that was kind of weird. He comes in only the last couple games of the season and then into the playoffs. Now he's coaching Summer League, and Summer League is so hard. I've watched a good amount of Summer League this year and most years, and it's sloppy everywhere. I mean, it's a bunch of dudes that you got together. You got maybe a week to start kind of trying to have these guys play together. You're not really implementing anything to run out there, and so it's a lot of sloppy basketball, a lot of places. I think the biggest things people should focus on during Summer League are guys making shots, how are guys moving, how is spacing for those guys that you think will be a part of the rotation next season. And when you look at the Grizzlies, 2, maybe 3 guys that will be a mainstay in the rotation a year or this upcoming season. Other than that, we're not going to talk about any of these guys. So I'd probably hold off on any judgment towards Isalo or any coach in Summer League, and we'll see what he does with the actual roster.
Well, no head coaches except for Isalo.
Yeah, that's right.
Did Taylor Jenkins do that maybe his first year when
I think
he got the gig?
did.
I think he did.
Yeah,
too.
it feels like some teams, and it feels like the Grizzlies. That's kind of something they like to do with new coaches, is kind of let them get out there with a couple of the guys in Summer League.
Well, Wells and G.G. Jackson most likely will be a part of the rotation, and I think Cam Spencer has a chance. So those 3 guys. Now you got a 2-way guy in Small who was starting in this thing, and personally, I know he scored some points, but he took shots, and he missed shots at the end. He didn't share the ball. He had an easy 2-on-1, which would have really, I think, won the game.
Sure.
And he goes hog on it. I don't know if he got yanked. He might have gotten yanked right after that. I'd have yanked him, that is for sure. So I think a disappointing Summer League, especially considering there's 3 or 4 guys that you are going to have possibly in your rotation. Yeah. And I don't know. I sit here and I wonder if you got Spencer, you've got Coward now who didn't play, and he's not going to play. What happens to Vince Williams? If G.G. Jackson is your guy and you've just signed a 4-year deal to Spencer, now you did get a good deal on Vince Williams. I don't know if he's an attractive trade piece, honestly.
Yeah.
But are G.G. and Vince both going to be on this team next year? These are some of the questions.
Yeah.
If you listen to the guys who really cover this league, including Pete, I asked him, would there be other moves that would be made? I know Eli Savoy has said he thinks there's another move coming, but most of these guys are saying 15-man roster is pretty well set. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be one of those where you go into the season with both those guys and kind of see who takes the charge and kind of figure out how you want to supplement that roster with which guy is the main guy off the bench, and then maybe make a move after that. But yeah, it's kind of hard to believe now that you have Cam Spencer on a deal that you're going to have all three of those guys playing some sort of role throughout the regular season.
The Open Championship. They're going low today. And remember how foreign it was yesterday when we were talking at this time? Not so much now. We got an American at the top, Brian Harmon. Shot a 65 today. That's 6 under. Combined now 8 under. He was all alone for a while, but this guy that no one has ever heard of until this tournament. He's from China. In fact, he is from Shanghai now, born in Hunan. Closest, I've actually been to both those places, Hunan, but until then, the closest I ever was there was a restaurant in Memphis called Hunan. 6 feet tall. The guy is 30 years old. He is 8 under, 4 under today. We've had some pretty good rounds. Robert McIntyre tied for third, the left-hander from Ireland's 5 under for today and 5 under for the tournament. That gives him tie for third because Harmon and Lee are tied at the top. Tyrell Hatton had a good day, 2 under, so he's 5 under. Højgaard is 5 under, and and if you're playing, can you do that? Really? I think the last guy that was a player captain was Arnold Palmer, so it hasn't happened in a long time. But Keegan Bradley is putting himself in a position where he's going to have to pick himself to play. That means you better have some really good vice captains to take on that role if you become a playing captain. Oberg today was 4 under. He's done. He's at 2 under. Some of the big names, Justin Rose, even today, but he's 2 under, so he's in the mix. John Rahm 1 under today through 4, so he's at 2 under. We'll keep you updated. Tommy Fleetwood finished 3 under today. He's 1 under. Justin Thomas 2 under today, 1 under for the tournament. So the Americans did much better today. And now, if there are benign conditions and sunshine and all this other stuff, let's see what happens. Scotty Scheffler could really go low today. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of it will depend on conditions. We're going to keep an eye on this story because it's something we've been talking about for a couple of years now with the advent of NIL and now revenue sharing. Donald Trump may put out an executive order that would require federal authorities to clarify whether college athletes can be considered employees of their school. We've all thought, with the way this is going, with revenue share and NIL money, that there has to be some form of legislation across the board. Because let's face it, every conference will try to get the upper hand on every conference. So this has to be either a commissioner of college football or a federal government mandate that makes the rules across the board an equal sort of thing. And this executive order would basically call on the Secretary of Labor and the National Labor Relations Board to determine and then to implement measures clarifying what the status of college athletes would truly be. And if they become employees, does that mean multi-year contracts? If you have a multi-year contract, would it include a buyout clause? Would that curtail movement of the portal, which is another thing that everybody is complaining about? Here's my deal. If you curtail movement of players, which in essence is an integral part, although it's surviving with all this movement and making new teams every year. I don't know how it's doing for fan bases and their attractiveness to the product. But if you curtail player movement, don't you have to curtail coaching movement? Would that change at all? Now, there's movement, but there's buyouts, and maybe you would have to put buyouts in there. But if a player becomes that valuable, and a good example might be Menza, the kid who started at Tulane as the third-string quarterback, and at the end of the year had the job, was terrific, although Memphis beat the heck out of him, but was terrific, and then went to Duke for $8 million for 2 years, $4 million a year. Would he have the ability to buy out his Tulane contract, which was probably pretty low, so that he could get this? He would definitely do that, right? Lots to determine, but it seems to me that is the direction that we are going. And we'll see if Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is really willing to make this executive order. And can he legally do that? That's another question that is way beyond my pay grade. They finished SEC Media Days. Bryant, your partner, Brett Norsworthy, was all over the place. He's got to be tired. He worked his butt off for 4 days.
Man, no kidding.
And it kind of wrapped up, and Sam Pittman was talking about his schedule, and he's got a tough one. And then he mentioned the University of Memphis. Now, let's be honest. There's not a coach at an SEC Media Day, an AC Media Day, any kind of media day in America. There's not a coach that is going to bad rap the competition before they play him, right? But you don't have to go out of your way, like Sam did, to talk about how good the Memphis program has been and how good a coach Ryan Silverfield is. And I know I haven't talked to Ryan at all, but I would suspect that Ryan has to appreciate that kind of praise.
Absolutely.
And it really was incredibly nice. And then they did the media preseason poll. Nobody's really shocked at this. It is, and I'm sure you've heard by now, but Texas is the consensus by everybody to win that conference. Okay? Texas is one. I know that Georgia is 2. Most people think that's the case. Here's where it's been sliding around, because I've seen Alabama as low as 5, but this particular media poll, which I think is the official one for the SEC, right? They've got Alabama 3, LSU 4. There are some people that think LSU can win the title. Florida is 5. A lot of people think that's way above where they'll end up. Oklahoma makes a big move just to get to 6. Tennessee, 7, and Ole Miss 8. That's slippage there. Then A&M is 9. Missouri, 10. That would be a slip for them. South Carolina, I've seen them as high as 4. And they are 11. Auburn, Vandy, Arkansas, Kentucky, everybody's consensus, Mississippi State would be last. That is their poll. I decided then I would take a look to see, and I went to 4 different places. Hero, ESPN, Warren Nolan, and Athlon, to see what the order of the American is going to be, because their media days are next week. I'm going to work on getting somebody on that. And Tulane is definitely the consensus. But the order of these of this grouping is kind of mixed up at the top, which tells you this thing is truly up for grabs. So, Hero says Tulane 1, Navy 2, UTSA 3, Memphis 4, Army 5, USF 6, ECU 7, North Texas 8. All right, that's Hero. ESPN, Tulane 1 again. Memphis 2. Navy 3 in this one. Army 4. UTSA 5. USF 6. North Texas 7. And ECU next. USF, which is in most of these polls, not even in the top 8 by ESPN. Then you got Warren Nolan. He's got Memphis 1. Army all the way to 2. Army at best is 4 or 5 in all these other polls. Then you got Navy as 3. Tulane which leads the way in most, is 4. Here comes USF 5, UTSA, ECU, and Rice tied at 7. North Texas is next. That's the first one you see Rice at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then Athlon, Tulane first, Navy second, USF third, all the way to 3. They're not even in one of the polls. Then UTSA 4, Army 5, Memphis, which by Nolan is number 1, number 2 in all these other in the ESPN poll is all the way to 6. ECU 7, North Texas 8. Which tells you there's no consensus whatsoever except maybe Tulane, which only in one poll finished all the way in 4th in Nolan. And it's anybody's conference. I think if you really think about it, between Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, I'm going to say Navy just because of Blake Horvath. I thought Army lost a bunch of people. I'm going to put USF up there because I think they have a lot of talent there. I'm not sold on their coach. I think out of those 4, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, and I'm going to say Navy. Those 4 will provide the champion. And I like the way it all sets up for Memphis. And I'll tell you another thing. You always got to look like most things you trace the money, right? Here you got to trace the recruiting. Isn't that your take, Brian Dacus? You're a recruiting guy.
Definitely.
So you 24/7 decided to see who had the best recruiting class for this particular year.
Yeah.
This is 24/7. There could be somebody else that's got a different order for the American, but this is 24/7, which I think has been the most accurate over the years. Memphis 1, USF 2, Tulane 3, East Carolina 4, FAU is 5, and they're not anywhere except for like 11 or 12 most places in the predictions. Then Rice, then Texas San Antonio, which is why their coach was complaining. They don't have the NIL money to compete in recruiting. Then Tulsa, which has really been very bad in football for the last few years. North Texas, Temple. Charlotte is last, but Army and Navy at the bottom. But that's because, they have to take the great student athletes that have to sign a military commitment for 5 years, so that they don't really count in these ratings. Look, they're in every one of these predictions in the top 6, and yet they're 12 and 13 in the ratings. But Memphis does lead the recruiting ranks, and I like their schedule. I think they got a real good chance. Honestly, I think they got a great chance of winning this league, and I can't wait. Well, first of all, why they had to go to Troy? Why they had to go to Georgia State? That was Tom Bowen, who put that in.
I'm excited about the Georgia State game. Georgia State plays in the old Atlanta Braves, Turner Stadium.
Yeah.
So that's I'm gonna have to make the drive to that one.
Have you ever watched a ball game in there?
I have not. No,
I watch baseball games in there.
Yeah.
It was a great stadium for that. The only problem I think I have, you know where the press box is?
I can only imagine.
They kept the one behind home plate.
Oh, jeez.
I'm in the end zone.
Well, yeah, that's not ideal.
Oh, my God.
Not ideal at all. Speaking of Memphis, I want to get this in there, Dave, before we run out of time. How familiar are you with the basketball tournament, the TBT tournament that gets started today, actually?
Is that the one where they call themselves Memphis and they're former alums of a university?
We have had teams in the past. We don't have a team this year. There is a Team 901, but they are not necessarily affiliated with the University of Memphis or with former players. But there are a lot of former Tigers all across TBT. Let me give you some names of former Tigers that are playing. And not all of these guys are playing for Memphis-specific teams. I haven't gotten through all the teams yet of their rosters. There are probably more than what I have. How about this? Playing for the Duncan Dogs, that is the La Tech alumni team, Darius Washington.
Oh, my God. Yeah. How old is Darius Washington now?
I have no idea, but he's on the roster.
Darius Washington has to be in his 30s, for sure.
Yeah, he's got to be. How about another throwback, playing for the NOF, which is a North Atlanta team, Robert Dozier, another former Memphis Tiger. Playing.
How old is he?
Another great question, Dave. But he's on the roster, so I guess he's playing.
He would be younger.
He would be younger than Darius Washington.
Darius Washington, you won't believe this.
35.
39.
Oh, my gosh. All right, hey,
Now,
still going.
Dozier's probably 37 then. I would
Probably,
bet.
yeah, somewhere around there. How about this? This one blew me away by far. So far through the teams I've gotten through, the one that has blown me away the most. Calvin Godfrey, playing for Richards Elite.
Calvin Godfrey?
You remember old Calvin Godfrey?
I don't even remember Calvin Godfrey.
I think it was on a maybe a Josh team. Didn't play much.
What did he play?
Power forward, if I
Really?
recall. Yeah.
I swear to you, I don't remember
Yeah,
that guy.
I'll show you a picture of him later,
Okay.
and I'm
All
sure
right.
you'll remember him. And then let's see, I've got one or two more. Lance Thomas.
Okay.
On X-rated, love Lance Thomas. Me and him had a couple classes together at the University of Memphis. Great guy, love Lance Thomas. And Jordan Brown playing for a team.
Jordan Brown
as well.
is-
Jordan Brown is playing for a team.
His short-lived, very
That's right.
unproductive tenure here.
That's right. Yeah, but hey, I guess we'll see how long he plays in the TBT. Then we go to the Team 901.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, who's on that?
Chandler Lawson playing for Team 901.
Well, he had some moments here.
Yeah, Sean Taggart on the roster.
Sean Taggart. How old is Sean Taggart? He's got to be in his late 30s.
He's got to be older as well. Those are the only guys that have University of Memphis ties, I believe. But you also have a couple other guys on here. Nate Hoover, who from the Memphis area.
I remember that name.
Arlington, went to
Yeah.
Wofford, is now playing overseas. Cedric Anderson, who played at UMass, has some local ties. Marcus Terrence, some local ties as well. So those are the only guys that have University of Memphis ties, Sean Taggart and Chandler Lawson. So I'm excited. TBT
Interesting.
starting today. Supposedly,
Where do you watch it?
a lot of the games are on YouTube, but a couple games tonight. The Auburn team and the Kentucky team, they're not playing each other, but it's a doubleheader tonight on FS1. Supposedly, the upcoming Kentucky basketball team, the 2025 Kentucky basketball team, scrimmaged the TBT Kentucky team and beat them. So maybe good things coming again for Kentucky.
The TBT team won?
No. The University of
the
Kentucky,
University
the current
won.
team,
Okay. Well,
beat the.
Because if these guys are
the throwbacks.
39 years
Well,
old,
that's a
they're
good
not
point.
beating a
That's a
20-year-old.
good point.
For goodness
Sean,
sake.
Sean Taggart, according to Wikipedia, is 40 years old.
Oh, my God.
Shout out Sean Taggart.
See, I guess that but he came after D-Wash, didn't he? I could have sworn he did.
I think you're right, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I never always trust Wikipedia.
All I can tell you is D-Wash, 39 years old. It just makes me feel very, very old. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure studio. You know all about now the Help Us Clear the Warehouse sale. Yes, they got to move them. 60% off all of the in-stock patio furniture to make room for the fall stuff, including a 4-piece deep seating set that's under $1,000. Chaise lounges, you buy one, you get half off on the next. And all Polywood furniture, 20 to 30% off. Get a table for your backyard, your patio, and you get a free umbrella. There's special financing available. They're moving it all out. They're clearing the warehouse at Family Leisure. We head to Chicago. Our agent from Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman, on NBA Matters. He comes your way in a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everything today is technologically based. Well, except maybe you. If you're struggling with tech, no matter what kind, call Tech for You. Tech for You for TVs, home theaters, cameras, smart locks, digital storage, and more. Tech for You makes it simple and affordable. Call 697-9695. Make your home safe, comfortable, and up to date with Tech for You. Stop struggling with tech. Call 697-9695. Veteran-owned and operated Tech for You. Technology simplified.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Uncorked flavor, Corky's barbecue. We're cooking it up, down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year, Corky's is your trusted go-to barbecue for parties. Our party packs start at just $6.99 per person. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 meat combos, pick your favorite sides, and as you know, Corky's always gives you plenty of food so you never worry about running out. Whether it's pickup or delivery, we've got you covered. Corky's makes it easy to impress your guests. Visit Corky'sBBQ.com to order for your next gathering today.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
The Hyundai Getaway sales event is going strong at Gossett Hyundai on the Pike, and we're ready to beat the competition with your new ride. 2025 Hyundai Elantra SEL Sport, we Gossett, $299 a month, 3.99 available for 72 months. 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 SEL EV, 318 miles on a single charge, $320 a month, 2.99 available for 72 months. And vacation-ready 2025 Hyundai Palisade SEL, now $436 a month, 0% for 60 months. Available in 90-day no payment, plus America's best 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So get to Gossett Hyundai today, 1870 Covington Pike, online, HyundaiGossett.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 10,000 miles per year. Elantra SU 997852, MSRP 25,565. Ioniq SYO 16455, MSRP 52015. APR offer in lieu of 7,500 cash rebate. Palisade SU 921,930, MSRP 42,395. Must finance through Hyundai Kia. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head to Chicago in a minute. Andy Schiffman, our super agent from Priority Sports, joins us. He's brought to you by Southern Security. Getting the lowest possible rate on your mortgage at Southern Security, you're going to get the best rates. You're going to get flexible terms. You're going to get no PMI. And, of course, you're going to get the famous Southern Security Service. You can refinance your current mortgage with the Mid-South's best mortgage lender so easily by just going online at southernsecurity.org, or you can call the office, talk to a human. That's the way I like to do it, at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. They are proud supporters of the Tigers and 901 Women. Southern Security is your home team credit union #1 the last 6 years and federally insured by NCUA. So last week we talked a little bit about the whole business enterprise and what was going on with the Summer League. Let's talk about the impact on some of the players, and Andy Schiffman joins us now. Good morning. What is David Jones, now called David Jones Garcia, playing for San Antonio, lighting it up, averaging over 20 this year? What do you think that has done for my man from New York, and trying to remember where he was originally from?
Duquesne.
Yeah. I'm not sure where he's from, but obviously remember him well. He's a good player, and I think a setting like Summer League gives him an opportunity to compete for, very realistically, probably best case scenario, a two-way, which you're familiar with that, right? And
yes,
we talk a lot about the value of these contracts. So the value of a two-way, if you're on two-way for the full season next year, Dave, is about little over $630,000.
Well, let me ask you, Andy, before you say that, that's the max you can make, right? But don't you have to play X amount of NBA games to get
Correct.
that money? Yeah.
Well, you got to be on the two-way for the full season, and you can play up to 50 games. You can be on the active roster in the NBA team for 50 games, whether you play or not. So the maximum amount of time you can be on the active roster is 50 games. But realistically, if he's on a two-way to start the season, he's still on the two-way as of January 10th of this next upcoming season. So January 10th, 2026, that full amount of the two-way becomes fully guaranteed. So even if he's only active for half of those games, 25 games between the start of the season, January 10th, once he gets to January 10th, still in the two-way, it's fully guaranteed.
So you think he's got a shot to do that with San Antonio?
I haven't talked to the Spurs about him specifically because obviously he's not my client. But I think that the good thing in that situation is the Spurs have 3 open two-ways right now. I think it's the only team in the NBA. Every NBA team can carry up to 3 two-ways during the season, and just about every team does. And they tend to at least have one of those two-ways remain pretty flexible where before that January 10th date, a team may release one of those guys on a two-way to sign someone else to a two-way, because last year the deadline to sign two-ways was March 4th. It's probably going to be around the similar time this year. So it's not like a team can just cut and sign two-ways throughout the season. There's a deadline to it. And so David Jones has really put a stamp on his time with the Spurs. He's played great in Summer League. He's probably going to be first team all Summer League. So do not be surprised if he comes out of this time with the Spurs and gets a two-way.
I'm pulling for him. How about Lester Quinones, a guy who's been a full rostered player, now hoping, I guess, to get a two-way with New Orleans? What's his status?
I haven't heard a ton about him. I really haven't watched a lot of New Orleans in Summer League, as we don't have a player on that roster with the Pelicans. So I can't really offer too much opinion. Obviously, I think he's a little bit of a known commodity, having been around the league with the Pelicans and sometimes with the Warriors, if I remember correctly. So, the good thing about New Orleans, though, is, look, they're not trying to go out there and win right now. And so a young player like Lester can really have an opportunity, whether it's on a two-way or going into training camp. Maybe you're competing to make a team. So I'm not sure what will come of him this Summer League. I'm trying to kind of look up here as we're talking what he's done with them over the summer. I'm just not exactly sure because I haven't watched a lot of New Orleans.
I think he's had a decent Summer League. He's not so young anymore, though. He played 3 years in college, right? 2 or at least. I think 3. Yeah. And he's been out for 3 years. So the clock is ticking on him. What about Dane Danjo, who's with Miami? I don't know that he got a lot of playing time. Did you get to see or hear anything about him?
Yeah, so I watched a little bit of Miami. He's probably knowing how Miami operates. Because he is a rookie, right? I think that they'll probably have him sign an Exhibit 10, where he will be a part of the Heat G League team, which is located in Sioux Falls, and just try to develop from there and try and grow. I haven't really heard his name associated with getting a two-way with them. I don't know the details of the agreement they worked out with Dane's agent in Miami, but I think that he'll probably be a part of their G League team for at least a year. And you hear G League and sometimes like nails against the chalkboard, but for young players, and we have players in this situation as well, to go and give it a shot in the G League, especially now, you're coming out of college, you hopefully have built up a little bit of NIL money to save to make it a little bit easier to stomach a salary of just over $40,000 in the G League. And obviously he can go sign an Exhibit 10 with Miami. He'll be able to have the opportunity to earn another $85,000 on top of the 40. So just an opportunity to go and compete with the Heat G League team, see where it goes. And if I'm advising him, if it doesn't happen, whether you don't get a two-way or you don't get a call-up or a 10-day, then really start to look overseas for next year. Because I hate to see really talented players spending multiple years in the G League if it really doesn't lead to anything your 1 year that you were in the G League.
Right. It's interesting. I didn't realize Miami's G League team is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Talk about a 180 for climate.
I know.
Holy cow.
Absolutely. Not a preferred destination.
And
more incentive to get with the Heat, I guess.
And then, yeah, right. And then last thing on just personnel for Summer League. Cedric Coward, who Memphis moved up to get, didn't play because of possible shoulder issues. He's healing from a shoulder injury. Does that put you back in terms of development at all?
I don't think so. I watched a lot of the Grizzlies. We've got obviously Cam Spencer, and I've got another player there competing to try and get a two-way, the young 27-year-old big man, number 25, Will Magnay. So
yeah,
very familiar there. And
now he's an Australian guy, right?
He's an Australian guy, and he'll have a chance to get a two-way. He broke his wrist towards the end of the season, so he's only played 2 Summer League games. And hopefully he'll have a good showing in this last one. So I think he'll have a chance, and it helps being a big man on the current Grizzlies roster because that's his position of need. And his ceiling there is best case is a two-way, which we'd be very happy about. But with Coward, right, look, I don't believe it really hinders his development that much because they know he had this shoulder surgery, and he's going to be rehabbing off of that. But you're going to have the whole summer going into training camp to continue to work and develop and get your conditioning right. They're going to probably bring him in, start playing 5-on-5 with a lot of the young roster players and some of the G League guys right after Labor Day. Generally, every team does that. And with him being a rookie, he's going to be around the facility and around the coaching staff for the rest of the summer. So is it great to go out there and be able to play 5-on-5 in this setting as a rookie? Sure. But does it really hinder his development long-term? I don't think so. And I do think the Grizzlies did the right thing where there's no purpose of pushing him out there for games that don't matter. And they've invested a lot in him, obviously, like you said, moving up to get him. So why not just have him be around the team without playing, make sure that he's 110% before he goes out there and plays 5-on-5 in a meaningful setting, and just behind the scenes continue to work and develop.
Speaking of big men, Malcolm Dandridge has made the headlines here in Memphis for a couple of reasons this week. One was more probation for the U of M based on something that he was involved with. But the other is that he just signed a deal, we found out, with Rasta Vecta, a German basketball team, pro team. What kind of a league is that? What kind of money will he make? He's not even trying a G League route.
I think it's a great move by Dandridge. We actually have euros potentially with the opportunity to get bonuses. All your expenses are paid. But again, as a rookie starting out, that's a very good salary, maybe even a smidge more. But if things go well for Malcolm, he'll have the opportunity to potentially double that salary next year, whether it's with a higher level German team or outside of Germany, because it's such a well-respected league.
Last thing. NBA expansion, Adam Silver, the commissioner, he addressed that this week, but the way he addressed it makes me think we're not going to really see any kind of expansion, that the 30 owners, and he works for those guys, the expansion.
Yeah, I read the comments that Adam Silver made as well, Dave, and I think nothing is imminent. Like you said, I think there's a lot of conversations going on, but I don't believe anything is close to happening right now. I think that will be a continued topic of conversation every offseason with the league and the board of governors and the Players Association. I think for the league as a whole, that would be a great thing, but I don't get the sense that anything is happening anytime soon in the next couple of seasons.
The other aspect is, and I've heard the argument against it, besides just splitting up that money, that it would dilute the talent level of the NBA by adding basically 30 more players. Do you buy that at all?
No, I don't. Bottom line is there's always more players than there are teams. Even if you do add 2 more teams, you're still going to have more available players, more talented players than there are teams. And you see, I'm going through it right now in free agency. There are always NBA-level players that are left out without a job because there's only so many roster spots each summer. It's not like every team turns the page over and has a brand new clean slate of 15 open slots they're going out to fill. There are teams that go into free agency each summer that nothing outside of the draft. I mean, look at the Denver Nuggets. They added our guy, Tim Hardaway. They made a trade. Coincidentally, also our guy, Michael Porter, and getting back Cam from Brooklyn and some draft picks. But they didn't draft anybody. They didn't go out there and sign multiple free agents. And so that's par for the course in free agency. I think an anomaly is where you have a team that's going to add like 3 or 4 different free agents and really have a lot of turnover. So I think it would be a great thing. I don't think for one second it dilutes the talent. I think you can go out there and very easily fill 2 expansion teams, and really probably more, with a lot of players that were in the NBA last year, some of whom are younger players, some are more veteran players. I mean, look at it. Ben Simmons is still a free agent right now. Now, I'm not saying he's the amazing all-star Ben Simmons, but he's a known name in the NBA, and he's without a job right now. Malcolm Brogdon, another free agent right now. So there's a lot of talent out there that could very easily slide into an expansion team. There's obviously elite-level talent overseas every year that comes back over to the NBA. So I don't believe for one second it would dilute the talent pool in the NBA.
He's our man. He's our guy on the NBA, Agent Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports in Chicago. I know it's hot in Chicago. You going to the Cubs Bo Sox at Wrigley today?
I looked at it, but I don't really want to pay $100 just for a standing room only ticket. But I am going to go Tuesday night against the Royals.
All right. Keep those Cubs winning, my friend. Thank you much.
Thanks a lot.
That's our guy. That's Andy Schiffman in Chicago.
DePaul for David Jones Garcia now.
Oh, that's right.
DePaul, St.
St.
John's,
John's.
and then Memphis.
Okay.
I always get Duquesne and DePaul.
Duquesne
mixed
is
up
in
when
Pittsburgh, just so
yeah.
you know.
Well, but the D names, they're both, kind of bad programs right now. So, they just in my
Yeah,
mind.
DePaul's
I
been
know
a bad
the
program
difference,
for
but
since you've been born, I
yeah.
think.
I know the difference, but it's just those D's, they get confused in my head.
Gotcha. This portion of the show brought to you by Sheldon. When does a name mean what you do? Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark Spenzorf Realtors knows how much good service can make the difference in a successful business and how your name can say that. For example, FedEx means quick overnight delivery. David Jones Germantown Auto Service means exactly that. And Sheldon can assure you they give some of the best service around. And don't forget, MemphisRelocate.com, Sheldon's website. And he can also assure you that he provides some of the best and most reliable service when you're selling your home, as the number of satisfied clients will always show you. That's why people often say you want the job done, you call Sheldon. You can reach him at 483-0546 or that website, MemphisRelocate.com. That's MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. Let Sheldon show you what good service truly means. Back in a minute, Munzie joins us. We talk Tiger Hoops in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
He's on the line, Marty McNate over at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, and he's ready to bring you back to the future with V-Dub deals that'll blow you away. What's up, McNate?
Randy, get ready to ride a 2025 Jetta Sport or 2025 TOS. Take your pick at $349 a month. 2025 Atlas SE, $399 a month. Or 2024 Atlas Peak Editions or 2024 GTI SE or 2024 Atlas CrossSport SEL R-Line. $5,000 off MSRP.
Plus 2.9 for 60 months on 2025 Atlas is available.
So come see me today, Marty McNate at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com. And remember, your future is what you make of it.
7,500 miles per year, 25 cents excess mileage. Get it SMO 7145, MSRP 25,916. Taurus SMO 77,145, MSRP 27,11. Atlas SC 523,770, MSRP 40,741. PRC 586,577, MSRP 58,89. GDI RW 21,791, MSRP 39,523. R-Line RC 22,635. Include all rebates and incentives. Finance through Volkswagen Credit. Excludes tax title and license. Include credit dealers. Not only CD for the details. Offer value 8225.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad, or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Do you know what Penny Hardaway and I have in common? We should both be in that building celebrating the best basketball players of all time. Of course, I'll have to buy a ticket to get in, but he should already be there. But seriously, we both surround ourselves with the best people we can find. We work hard to achieve our goals, and we are both among the best in our respective fields. At Fiveash, we can't win titles or get national awards, but what we can and do strive to do is give 100% of ourselves to give you the best product possible and one you can be proud of. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call at 901-367-0050, and we will do everything we can to provide you the best of everything. Fiveash Roofing. Fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
One of my favorite times of the week, we get to talk to Munzie, Jason Munz, Tiger beat writer, for basketball for the Commercial Appeal. Good morning. Your job never seems to be dull. We had two interesting things this week. One great story, one not so good story. Probation, which actually was pretty generous, honestly, on the Malcolm Dandridge situation. And finally, the contract signed with Athletic Director Dr. Ed Scott. So you had 180 on two different stories. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Wolo. Yeah, it's been a busy week, as they all seem to be on this on this beat, and I'm good with that. But yeah, it's a couple of this is the way I look at the Malcolm Dandridge, and we call it the Malcolm Dandridge situation because he, according to my reporting and others' reporting, he is the men's basketball player who had work being done, academic work being done for him, that was being coordinated and paid for by a former academic advisor named Leslie Brooks, who was fired by the university once this whole scheme came to light. And so, it was this is the way I wrote it earlier this week. That 23-24 season is one that most people would like to forget because it began with Penny being suspended for the first three games. And then Memphis goes 15-2 to start the year. Then Caleb Mills gets hurt. Freak injury, devastating to not only him and his career, but also ultimately that season. Because after he got hurt, everything goes down the tube.
It does. They
go from top 10 to completely missing the tournament, missing the postseason completely. And it ended with Malcolm Dandridge sitting out the last 5 games because he was being withheld from competition by the university as they were looking into an eligibility issue, which ultimately turned out to be this situation. So, but yeah, we finally, after this whole thing got started in late January of 2024, we finally have a resolution. And Memphis, it could have been a whole lot worse, especially considering the fact that Memphis was already on 2 separate, for lack of a better term, we'll call them counts of probation. When all this happened, Memphis was still on probation from the James Wiseman deal that got, that feels like eons ago that happened. And they were still on probation, a second count of probation from the recruiting violations that were committed by Penny Hardaway and a former assistant coach. And so, that apparently doesn't really mean much in today's NCAA. If you're on probation and you do something else wrong, it doesn't apparently yield any stiffer penalties than just more probation. Because that's the worst of what Memphis got. No postseason ban, no suspension, no reduction of scholarships, they had to forfeit a few wins, 3 wins, which snaps the consecutive, I think they had
20 wins.
20 wins, 8 consecutive 20-win seasons. That now is off because they went from 22 wins that season now to 19. And Penny loses those 3 wins on his coaching record, although that doesn't take him below. You remember he crossed the 150 career win mark this past season. That doesn't take him back down below 150 or anything like that. But it is 3 fewer wins for him. So, we got all that news, and then we got the news that Ed Scott has back in mid-May, almost roughly 10 months or so, 11 months after he was formally hired by the University of Memphis. He initially signed a memo of understanding, which is typical for, coaches and administrators in the early stages of their employment to agree to a memo of understanding, and then eventually they will sign a full long-form contract, and it just took a little bit longer, I think, than expected, but that happened this past mid-May, and so it's been a big week.
Why do you think it took so long? Seriously, it's a year.
Yeah, well, That's a good question. I mean, this year has been a busy one for Ed Scott, between the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium stuff, between the conference,
Pac-12,
exactly, conference realignment, all that stuff. Not to mention probably, lots and lots of other things. It's been very busy. So I'm sure that was part of it, that he had his attention divided with a lot of other things. But then, there's some new wrinkles in this fully executed contract that are slightly different than some of the details from the memo of understanding that he signed initially. He was, one of them being his salary. He was due to make $550,000 a year for 5 years. That was the initial agreement. Well, this new contract shows that he made $550,000 for the first. He was officially hired sometime in June last year, and then through the end of the year, he made $550,000.
So that's 6 months. That's a pretty good deal,
right? So then that goes up though from 550 to 600 starting this past January 1, and that goes each year for the life of the deal. So, I don't know how long it takes to iron that sort of change out. And then, there was a lot of other details that had to be hammered out. It was a very long document. And so, so I don't know if there was like some negotiating or some back and forth that took forever, but it's done, and he's under contract now through 2029.
29. All right. Is Nolan Smith still under contract? What's the story here with the Tigers' number 2 assistant, Mike Davis, I think, is the lead assistant. Nolan Smith, the brilliant guy who came from Louisville, played and learned under Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. Most people think he's a true major league up-and-comer.
Yeah.
It's a weird story that Penny Collins leaves Tennessee State to become an assistant at the Grizzlies. Okay, That's a good story. But Nolan Smith, because of the timing of all this, now is the one they earmark, and they make him the leading guy that some people think he's done. He's gone. He's going to be the head coach at Tennessee State. To me, that is a school that I did not think would be the first one that a guy like Nolan Smith would take. I thought he would get a mid-level Power 4 school, not an HBCU that's, what are they, in the OVC? In the OVC.
Yes, that's
so
right. Yeah.
that is a sort of an underachieving place for a guy with an upside like Nolan Smith. Now, the deal's not done. So what do you think happens here?
I mean, the deal is not done. It's important to note that. And the initial reporting from John Rothstein was that they were working toward finalizing a deal. Now, that doesn't mean that it was going to get finalized, and it's been 2 or 3 days now, and we still have not heard any sort of update or received any sort of update. I've checked in with Nolan myself and got, he has not responded, which is not surprising. These sorts of things, usually people don't talk during these sorts of things. But, I thought to myself, it was a little bit curious. It's not, it would have been less curious if Nolan had left for a job like this, say, back in March. It's now, what we're like less than 2 weeks away from August.
Right.
And if he does, in fact, take that job, then he's going to be getting there rather late.
Yes.
And so, but at the same time, jobs are not easy to get in college basketball, especially head coaching jobs. And so he's a very ambitious person from what I know about him and my conversations with him over the last year since he got here. And so, he saw an opportunity and as it stands right now, it's still just an opportunity. It's not done. There has been some reporting that I saw maybe yesterday or the day before. There's someone who said that he's not the only candidate that is in the running, that Scottie Pippen is in the running.
Scottie Pippen, who's never coached?
Correct.
Wow.
And Sam Cassell is another name that I've heard.
Here's what I would say. since the deal is not done and the story broke 3 days ago from a national guy who's usually pretty on, I would say, he made $250 last year? I wouldn't be surprised if Nolan Smith gets a nice raise from Penny Hardaway.
Now that is a possibility. Like that's, if like that would not shock me if the news was, leaked, quote unquote, and then it's used as leverage to get a little bit more money out of Memphis.
He's our man. He is our man, Jason Munz. We'll do this again next Friday. Maybe we'll know where Nolan Smith's going to be. I do want to also talk about your scheduling thing with Tim Pernetti and all those other guys. So we'll get into that next week. Thank you, my friend. Stay cool. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Wolo. I appreciate it.
That's Munzie from the Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by Miramichi, thinking of staying cool. Let me just say this. There's at least 5 water stations that I know of, and a person that goes around with ice and water and all kinds of stuff, Gatorade, probably a beer if you wanted to, that drive around in a cart on Miramichi. They're going to take care of you. They're going to give you the best practice facilities. They are going to really test you if you want. You can go back 7,000 yards, or you can move up 6,000 yards. That's my sort of distance. And here's the thing that always happens. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's in great shape. The greens, spectacular. They hold. They run true. I think they're going to start cutting them to make them a little bit quicker. It's just the true golf experience with a great clubhouse. And I always have to say this because people don't understand. They think it's in Millington, that it's a long way away. From my driveway in East Memphis to Woodstock, which is exactly where Miramichi is, 25 minutes. Go check it out. You will love it. There's plenty of water. Go tell them we sent you. Miramichi, that is the true golf experience. That does it for us for the week. I will be off Monday. My man Brian Dacus will fill in. I'll see you on Tuesday. Stay cool.